Hi guys, welcome back to INFJ Thoughts. Today we are going to talk about the romantic compatibility of INFJs and INTPs. Before we get started, comment, like, and subscribe, and let's do this. So, from what I can tell in my own experience, I think INTPs tend to really like INFJs. INTPs have dominant introverted thinking, but they have tertiary introverted sensing. So, from what I can tell, INTPs have a good sense of style, and they're very connected to and conscious of their sense of style. Their sense of style is very, systematic, and it really makes sense. It really depicts their intended image. Like, if they're trying to be goth, they will look goth. If they're trying to look preppy, they will look preppy. And they're intentional about kind of connecting their personality to how they look to create an image that will allow them to fit in certain situations. Now, I know probably in the INTP, like in the MBTI community, the personality type INTP would probably be a type that people would think is like nonconformist and like is all about free thinking. Well, that's true, but like in the MBTI community, when we talk to an INTP, the INTPs we're talking to are going to be talking about MBTI. So they're probably going to be a little bit more open with their extroverted intuition, and they're probably going to be a little bit more open with with their opinions, with devil's advocating, with being debaters. But INTPs know that they're not that way around everyone. And so with this, INTPs enjoy INFJs because INFJs have a certain receptivity to introverted thinking. We like to hear thoughts, we like to hear arguments, we like to hear opinions, we like to hear like a thought through argument that's like coherent and that someone has thought through, and they're trying to convince you, and it's like they're giving you like a quick commercial. I feel like INTPs are always giving you an infomercial on how to do something better, on why this is the right way to do things, on the specific study that really helps them in this time in their life, and that's kind of like INTPs. And so INFJs were open to this. We allow INTPs to have these opinions. We generally like to pick their brains. They're pretty interesting. One thing that occurs is that INTPs, like INFJs, they see our receptiveness to their introverted thinking, and then they feel like they can expand. And they feel like they can share with us, and they feel like they can be their biggest self. And this is really good for the extroverted feeling of the INTP. And while we're doing this, while the INTP is able to express themselves, the INFJ has to be sure that they're setting boundaries. Now, we hear this all the time, set boundaries. So in this case of INTP and INFJ, what does this mean to set boundaries with an INTP? With an INTP, it's important to let them know that you don't necessarily think the same thing as them. You can agree with them, you can agree to disagree, you can disagree. The INTP will think that because they have X amount of studies, that they have X amount of data, or they have X amount of experience, that like solidifies their point of view. Plenty of times it does, but we're all human, and so plenty of times it doesn't. And so, kind of like INFJs, we, as we mature, we accept that sometimes our introverted intuition is right, sometimes our introverted intuition is wrong. INTPs, maybe as they mature, they can agree to disagree. Yeah, like with my mature INTP friends, like we agree to disagree. If I'm with an INTP and if they can't let me have a different opinion than them on something, then that is where I have to set that boundary. Now, this is a very interesting dynamic because we think introverted thinking and introverted feeling are all about free will and letting others have free will, and like they're all about like TI and FI are all about like, oh, the system or the group of people is like taking away my individuality. So like we don't think of them as trying to make you think a certain way. But like, especially when you're in a one-on-one relationship with them or one-on-one friendship and they're sharing with you their experience about something, like this is when you have to let them know that you think something different. And this is where you're really tapping into your own TI or FI around an INTP or INFP when you're saying, okay, I see what you're saying. I believe it's true to you, but I think something different, or I still hold this opinion. And so, yes, it's like I feel like I've had plenty of an INTP conversation where we're talking about something and I have an opinion, they have an opinion, and they're like, oh, this is my opinion. I'm like, okay, this is mine. And then they explain to me why mine's wrong, and I'm like, okay. And then they're like, well, do you still think that? I'm like, well, yeah. So that difference in opinion is very important. Like if the INTP and the INFJ don't allow for this, then that will be really hard for the relationship to work. Also, make sure the INFJ is sharing an opinion with you. You know, if the INFJ just is going along with everything the INTP says and never speaking up, then that leads, whenever we see this with an INFJ, we always are pushing for, okay, INFJs need to speak their boundaries sooner. That's what we're always talking about. So it's on the INFJ to use their TI or their FI or just speak their opinion, and it's on the INTP for allow to two opposing opinions to coexist. Now, like in relationships, people, you know, it's a matter of compromise and being compatible. So I'm not saying that in every opinion difference that you should just compromise and just agree to disagree. But I'm saying, like, you know, if you, let's say the INTP and the INFJ agree on their own criteria for what validates a relationship, and then maybe a less a more, what is the word, a more theoretical disagreement, maybe you could say. Now this is just an example. So then that could be a case where, okay, this hypothetical disagreement probably is not as important as the real life criteria agreement that is had between the INTP and the INFJ. So yes, the INFJ allows the INTP to share and expand and to have a support system for their opinions. The INFJ gets a chance to allow for a relationship where they agree to disagree with someone actively. The INTP-INFJ relationship, the INFJ can help the INTP understand that that there's more to the relationship than just introverted sensing. There's more to the relationship than a label. There's more to a relationship than its image. And there's more to a relationship than the opinions. I think INFJs can give to INTP maybe more of a a kinesthetic experience of a relationship. I know we don't talk about INFJs this way, but just hear me out. Quality, with INFJs, we think of quality time, watching Netflix, you know. So INTPs could be all about the Dungeons and Dragons and the opinions and the studies and the card games, right? But INFJ can bring us kind of away from that and into watching TV, relaxing, and going on hikes, going to get coffee, those sorts of things. You know, one thing the INTP could bring to the INFJ is maybe watching memes, watching funny TV shows. INTPs can be hilarious. So, you know, just finding where you guys can relax each other and just agree to disagree. Ultimately, I think it's an important relationship. And both types, like any relationship, you kind of have to compromise and figure out where it's going, I guess, through communication. I know that's so cliche. But yeah, so this is kind of, you know, at first glance, my thoughts of INTP-INFJ compatibility. Thanks.